Welcome to the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of January 18th, 2021. Every week we chat about the things parents are talking about, complaining about, and obsessing about right now. I'm Terry Morrow, and I'm here with Catherine Haleko.
Hello.
And Nicole Eridix.
Hi there.
This week we are complaining about having to be morning people and obsessing about kitchen gadgets. We're also taking a couple of breaks for an entertainment discussion and a recommendation roundup. Today we are looking ahead to some firsts that are still to come in our kids' lives. We were inspired for this by an article on Grown and Flown about things that you look forward to when your child is a high school senior, firsts that lay ahead for you at that point, such as kids' first night in a dorm, first time they call just to talk and not because they have a problem, first apartment, first road trip, end of first year of college, first real relationship, first time they thank you. And of course, we're well beyond, well, not all of us. Catherine, you're not quite well beyond the senior and high school stage, but we're all sort of moving on to the next phase with our kids where some of these firsts may already have passed, though I'm still waiting for the first real relationship. But we thought we would look at our young adults and think of some firsts we still have ahead for them. Catherine, you're sort of straddling the line on this. One kid passed, one kid yet to come. What sort of firsts are you thinking about right now?
Yeah, well, we might get first road trip coming up at spring break time. I mean, my daughter has actually been, driving herself to and from school all year, which has been, quite nice because it's like a 5 to 6 hour drive. So it's having to, go there, pick her up and bring her home would be time consuming.
Yeah.
So, and thanks to Life 360, I can handle waiting for her to come back. But she's thinking about doing a spring break trip with some friends. So that would be a milestone. And she will also be getting her first apartment next fall for school. So yeah, like 1 year in the dorm, and that was it. Now they're moving on. So yeah, and then for my younger one, he's not a senior yet, so we have all the senior, the end of high school things to look forward to for him. But feels like a long way. Yeah, I hope
that those will happen when the time comes.
And they feel like a long way away, even though I know they're really not. So yeah, but for my older child, I think some of the coming up things that will be exciting, like this list this Grown and Flown article doesn't have things like first real job,
Right.
My son really hasn't had a job yet, but my daughter's had some, like part-time kind of jobs. But eventually, she'll have a real job, as they say. So that's
one hopes.
Exciting. And I do look forward to my younger one getting a job too. I think that would be good for him and good for us. So those are a few of the things.
How about you, Nicole? What firsts are you looking forward to or have you recently experienced with your kids?
It's funny because there really is that time period where you have to transition from them being a child and all the firsts in their lives and then thinking about, okay, well, they're adults now. What am I going to look forward to now? What are these benchmarks? So I think where my kids are at, so I'm certainly looking forward to the first time my daughter has to live on her own and cook her own food. Or even just be with, roommates and having to cook her own food, not having the meal plan from the residence building.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to her graduating, her university graduation. First real job, obviously. First apartment on her own. Those are kinds of things that are in the immediate forecast. And then my son is a little bit more, I'm looking forward to seeing him get his white coat at the white coat ceremony. And seeing where he gets his residency. And seeing what he ends up doing, really, for his specialty. seeing where he'll end up living, you know. So, yeah, I hadn't, like, when they're seniors, you kind of mourn the loss of all that stuff that you hear everywhere about kids growing up, right?
Right.
So you mourn all of that, like, oh, okay, well, we're no longer going to have this. We're no longer going to have that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just found, like, it's taken me, a good year or so to get my head wrapped around, okay, now they're adults. Now what am I going to look forward to? It's like taking taking that bridge over to the adult side of life and thinking about what they're going to do. So what about you?
I don't think we've entirely taken that bridge over to the adult side. Even though my kids are 27 and 30, they're still, largely due to their disabilities, sort of in a holding pattern. They have jobs, which is great. They're working, but they're part-time jobs. They're not the, first job that you imagine will come at this age. They both went to community college, but it was sort of just to give them something to do and a little more schooling, more than it was to set them up in a career, which didn't really work at any rate. And, they haven't really, either one of them had a major relationship. I mean, my son kind of has one in name only, but there's no responsibilities attached to it. So it's like, there's still all these things that we should have probably passed through by now. Neither of them is going to have their own apartment at any point in the foreseeable future. I certainly hope there will be a relationship, especially for my daughter. She would really like one, but they do not fall from the sky as much as I have prayed that would happen. Still waiting. Is he up there on the roof? So I don't know. I feel like I don't want to anticipate anything because I don't want to seem like I'm disappointed if it doesn't come. Our life is fine. I'm very happy that they're happy and healthy and, have people in the community who they're meaningful to and have work. That's just great. But there is a certain lack of firsts
but maybe,
going on now.
Maybe in a different sense, the first can either be big milestones, the big typical traditional milestones, or maybe there's smaller, more personal milestones that, okay, well, my child did this independently, or my child, reached out to do something that they wouldn't have normally done. Like, that just kind of signifies their growth in some way, Like it's all kind of...
I guess there probably are if I thought about it, but they're also kind of fleeting because sometimes they'll do something and then decide, no, I didn't really like that, so we're not going to do that again. So it's not so much as a move forward, it's just a check mark. But you know what? They're both, have had some delays in their development, and maybe the 30s is going to be when this stuff happens. Maybe that's when all the firsts will come. I'm gonna wait it out. And if it doesn't happen, that's fine too.
Even still, it's not necessarily, okay, it's a sign of them moving forward. It's a sign of them just doing something in their life that is timely and developmentally, in the right kind of zone and, give or take 10 years. And
that's right.
Do you know what I mean? I don't really see them as,
I'm struggling to think of anything that would fall into that category. We're real comfortable with routine in our house, and we're real comfortable with keeping stuff the same. So I imagine there are some things. I should start looking for them more. But you don't want to put too much pressure on them. I mean, they're not things you can celebrate because that kind of calls attention to them, and then they back off. So
right.
Okay.
Well, remember last week when we shouted out things that family members' kids had done, and you were talking about your daughter taking some of your IT support
that's
jobs.
True.
So
that's
a milestone, right? First time
I'm happy with it.
First time you go to her with an IT issue instead of having her come to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess that's something. But it's just, it's a constant fact of life for parents of kids with special needs that you're sort of taking your very pleasant walk through the valley, waving to people up on the mountain, Valley's perfectly beautiful. We like it. We're happy here. We're going to have a picnic. But it's just a different,
I think it's just all according to your own kid. I mean, like my comment about my daughter moving into her own place and cooking her own food is really just centered around her cooking her own food. I mean, like, nourishing herself and sustaining herself, like figuring out how to cook her own food, right? Because she just she's not there, right? And so for me, it'd be like, if I could see her go for a week buying groceries, cooking herself meals, that would be a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just exciting all to your child. Yeah. But, and like, that's the thing, right? Like, as our kids grow, they take their own paths. And so you kind of have to, think about their life and where they're going and what you would, what you envision for them. But yeah, then you're setting yourself up too. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then I think as parents, we need to have something to look forward to, don't we?
Yes. Yes.
Live vicariously through them.
Maybe we should talk about parent firsts. Like my daughter is still eagerly looking forward to first time mom doesn't share her opinion with you. So she has confidence in me. I'll get there one day.
First time mom doesn't ask me what's wrong.
I don't see that happening ever.
No.
First time I call with a problem and mom isn't hanging on the phone waiting to hear from me.
First time mom doesn't track me on Life 360.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one.
Gonna be waiting a long time for that, princess.
I might be waiting till my daughter's like married. I don't know. I mean, when do you
until she eventually deletes the app or something.
Exactly.
Like my son did when he moved to college.
So make sure your daughters don't marry techies who will know how to disconnect things. Just
yeah.
Well, they are the techies in most cases.
That's true.
I would say. Yeah. Well, this is something that we actually talked about several years ago on the podcast, some milestones that we had recently experienced. So it's a topic we can keep revisiting.
Yes.
But for today, we are going to say that's it for today's round 1. Tune in tomorrow for our entertainment-themed round 2, and later in the week to find out what we're complaining about, obsessing about, and recommending right now. We're always interested in what you have to say, so drop us a comment on our website, our Facebook page, or Twitter, where you'll find us at Roundabout Chat.